Hello, good day. My name is Silas Atetfo, an Ambazonian activist. Ambazonia is the former British Trust Territory of the Southern Cameroons, today undergoing a genocide war launched against its people by the French Republic of Cameroon. And in the midst of a global pandemic like the COVID-19, the coronavirus, uh, I would like to take off time from the genocide war and share my COVID-19 experience with um, the rest of Ambazonia. And the whole idea of me wanting to do this video is just to share a thought of my experience and what our people in Amazonia are currently going through, fighting this global pandemic in the midst of uh, a genocide war launched upon them by French Cameroon. And I am very much pushed to do this because the my experience, especially experiencing this coronavirus in the United States with a lot of uh, resources and facilities that help me get through this virus, I feel compelled to sound an alarm on the dangers and the struggles that this coronavirus can impact on the lives of our people in Amazonia, given that they have no time to take care of themselves in the middle of a war. So the seriousness of this coronavirus, given my experience, is what is like I would like to share with our people and for the people who want to share compassion with the genocide in Amazonia. Being an activist and a compassionate person, I have been at the forefront of the campaign to sensitize the world and our Amazonian people about this global pandemic, the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So I was very, very well informed about the virus and the precautions to take and every uh, method to help prevent this virus. And I have been campaigning and sensitizing our people about on how to protect themselves during this global pandemic. Uh, Regardless, um, I was infected with this virus. Of course, um, I very well know how I got the virus. The details of it, I would like to spare that of this video. But the most important is the impact of this virus to the human and how it affects your body. My own experience, of course, that's what I would like to share with Ambazonians and the world at large, simply to emphasize the pain and the difficulties that comes with having this virus, and to imagine that this is what people have to face, and at the same time uh, face the challenge of a genocide war upon them. It's something that sitting at a corner where I am only faced with one challenge. By the grace of God, I survived it. Gives me more concern about our people in Amazonia trying to fight this virus and at the same time defend themselves from a regime that is raining terror on on them. Perhaps uh, someone uh, could do something. Someone in places of power can do something, or our people could get more awareness and I just take those who have not been taking the precautions seriously would do even better, because of my experience personally, it was a very horrible experience with this coronavirus. So I had contracted this virus, and of course, like I said earlier, I know exactly where I contracted the virus, and I'm going to spare those details from this video. Um, but I just want to explain the horrific this horrific experience, so that those of you who have not gone through it in any way can take uh, every measure that you need uh, to protect yourselves, and also to pray God that this challenge that the world is facing right now can end, and whatever spiritual protections that you need, uh, brothers and sisters, we badly need it, given what I went through. I started having symptoms. I thought, for those of us who have lived in Africa, um, it started just like the usual malaria symptoms. I was having high fever, shaking, or my teeth shaking, and my whole body ached, and all my joints could not move. So just like how malaria begins with all of us in Africa, that's exactly how it all started with me. And given that there is, of course, I knew, I suspected immediately was COVID-19, but given that there is really no treatment for it, and you cannot even just go to you cannot go to the hospital if your condition is not critical. So all you can do is just to get the test, and then continue to try to uh, manage the situation uh, in a quarantine environment. So I decided to stay isolated from everyone else, and I was trying to deal with this fever. So the fever continued. I didn't have any cough. I didn't have any the usual signs of flu, but I only had the fever, and I had high headaches too. So those were the first symptoms that came with it. So for like 3 days, I went through that phase, and until the fourth day of this virus, that is when I started having some really, really serious respiratory attacks that are very horrible, something that I've never experienced in my life. I've been sick before, but the episodes of these attacks that I had with the respiratory attacks that I had with this COVID-19 is something that still gives me trauma as I reflect or flash back on what happened to me. So on this fourth day, I thought I was feeling much better. I've been taking all the concoctions, the lemon, the ginger, and everything. I've been covering myself up, steaming myself up, just like we were all educating people to try to do. And on the fourth day, I thought for a moment that I was getting better. So I got off from the house and actually went to get something from the office just to fill up some paperwork, because it was very important to go do that. And I thought I had the strength, and I was kind of getting better. Of course, where I work, the office is isolated, of course, and I was able to go there because it's private. So I was able to go to the office to try to fill up this paperwork. And while I thought I was feeling better, the worst was yet to come. So I sat at the office trying to fill up this paperwork and type something on the computer. And all of a sudden, I sneezed. And because before I didn't have cough or any kind of nasal problem or respiratory problem. So while sitting on my desk, I sneezed the first time, and I felt like there was still some more to come out. And then I tried, like we all do, to get the rest of the what was out there to sneeze it out. And as I was trying to do that, it kept I kept having the blockage of the sneezing not being able to come out. So as I tried to get it out, there was no breath, and I couldn't talk. And then uh, I was just gasping for air, and there was no air flowing from my lungs to my mouth or my nostrils or anything like that. So I started feeling like I was suffocating. And while I was feeling like I was suffocating again, I started having the urge to cough. And I couldn't cough because there is no air flowing through my lungs, through my mouth. So there was this shocking heat, something that was hitting me from inside. And every time I was trying to cough, and the cough wasn't coming out completely because it couldn't. So it was just stopped in there like a blown balloon that has to burst out, but there was no way for it to burst out. So sitting on the desk, finally, somehow I just felt the cough, and as my chest kind of just pumped forward, to tell you the truth, I felt like I was grabbed by some alien. This is not a fiction or any kind of story just to scare you, but it's my experience that I'm trying to let you know. I felt like there was some kind of alien who grabbed me and then hit me against the wall. And as I felt myself, after I forced myself to cough, and I got that hit back on the chair, and I felt on the floor across my desk where I was sitting, and I was now on the floor. I was now on the floor, uh, struggling. There was still no air after that cough that I forced the cough to come out. I couldn't breathe still. Now I was on the floor. Uh, my chest was still pumping, and there was this feeling like there was someone inside my chest. This is while I'm on the floor. I felt like someone is in my chest, trying to rip out my lungs from my ribs. So that is exactly how I was feeling, and someone would. It was I was feeling like someone was chiseling out my lungs from my ribs and actually grabbing it with their hands and trying to pull it out of my ribs. And there was nothing I could do. I was rolling on the floor. I thought perhaps if I lay with my stomach, I could feel better. I tried that, it didn't work. And I thought for a second that maybe I should lay with my back. And all of this is going on, and I laid with my back, and there was still there was still no it didn't get any better. So as I was on the floor turning, the cough started also persisting, and I couldn't cough. And each time the cough comes and it couldn't come out, I could feel the cough hitting my backbone here, and it felt like someone was hitting my backbone with a machete. So that was a very scary experience for me, and this happened all this while I was on the floor by myself, because I had to be isolated and do all of this, just try to get that paperwork done. And I thought I could do it in a minute and then rush back home. So that was the mistake I made, and I was all by myself in the office. By the time I fell on the floor, I didn't even have my phone to call 911. So I struggled on the floor for like 5 minutes, I don't know how I survived that. And then all of a sudden, I started breathing heavily, like I had been running, and then very soon, uh, I threw up. I actually threw up before I started breathing heavily. After I threw up, I started breathing heavily, and then after that breath, everything calmed down, and I felt a little better. So I got up from the floor, went to the bathroom, washed my mouth and everything, sanitized myself, but I started feeling so weak, and I said I should just lay on the couch to see how I feel from there. And whilst laying on the couch, I took my phone at that time and texted one of my co-worker, trying to just let them know the weird experience that I had just experienced. And as him and myself, we were texting on the phone, he was trying to understand what that was all about. And then a second wave of the same attack took me from the couch back to the floor, and I had all the same experience. And as I was at that time that I was on the floor, thank God I could reach my phone, and I managed to press his number, and all I could say was 911. And he acted promptly and called 911, and that is how I was taken to the hospital. So without him making that 911 call, uh, fellow brothers and sisters, I would have been history. Sincerely speaking, I wouldn't have been here today talking to you all. So this happened to me, and I really just want to share this experience. I don't know how you take it, but it is something that really, really traumatized me, and I could only think of my people who are currently uh, facing a genocide war in Amazonia, and yet they have to deal with these types of experience in a country and a situation that there is no health resources or even enough knowledge to help them cope with this virus the way I managed to survive, or with the friend that called the 911, and I was able to be taken to the hospital, and administered oxygen that gave me life once again. So this is really an experience that I will never forget. It will definitely bother me for a while, and I'm not sharing this to scare anybody. I'm sharing this to just create more awareness. I feel the need to do this. I'm sorry if it is horrific for some or not. I just hope that it can awaken it could raise your alert levels for you to also take this pandemic seriously and do your own part to make sure that you stay safe and keep others safe. This was not the only episode. While I was in the 911 van, I had another attack while in the van, and even when I got to the hospital, I had the same attack twice, even with the oxygen that was being given to me. So I was in the hospital for about a week, and then I started feeling better. And the fever dropped, and then the headaches dropped, the body aches dropped, and then my breath started coming back slowly, and then until the hospital could discharge me a week later. So this is what I went through, fellow brothers and sisters, fellow Amazonians. The coronavirus is real. I'm very much aware that people have different theories, and some have also had different manifestations on themselves. But my experience is one that I feel I should share. I'm talking to you here sincerely by the grace of God, and I just want to thank my friend, my friend Bob, who called 911 for me, and to thank God for all of you who were praying for me while I was in the hospital. I feel encouraged by some of the kind words and the messages that you all sent to me. Reading them later kind of inspired and motivated me more to want to share my story, because there were lots and lots of you there, fellow Ambazonians, who really showed compassion and hearing all what I went through. Most of you shared your sympathy. I really want to appreciate that, and hope that this experience also guides us all in our efforts to fight this global pandemic, at the same time as our people fight the Paul Biya virus, tormenting our people, terrorizing our people. Thank you all. I hope we all stay safe. Continue to do the same guidelines that have been given to us all to help prevent the spread of this virus. If you feel sick, please stay at home. Do not move around and share. It is such a bad feeling to imagine that you're the one who have given such a dangerous virus to somebody. For those with theories out there, it is okay. One thing is clear, is that something is out there that is not working well for humanity right now, and whatever we all think that is, it is important to take precautions. It is as simple as that. So that is my story with the coronavirus, and thank you for listening. My name is Silas Atifo, an Ambazonian activist residing in the United States of America.